Hello everyone, I'm here to talk about the last level that I made. It's a town takeover for Caustics, so yes, once again I'm making a level for Apex Legends. Honestly, I've been so inspired and excited by the news that Respawn released this past week. I can't wait to just play Cryptos takeover and see what the Lifelines buff is, and of course crossplay. That's huge, right? So thank you. And I want to just make like something for the game as well, in my way. This is of course like first pass. I worked on it like over the weekend, so I try to get like the point across, but not everything is perfect. Okay. So here, if you just look at my screen, like currently we see this big building was made by Humbert Labs, which is basically a company that Caustic, formerly Alexander Knox, used to work for. I imagine like this building, like the place where Caustic was born, right, and where Alexander Knox died. So everything here is of course about Caustic. But it was pretty challenging to create like something that was, yes, really speaking about the character, but at the same time was not going to create like any frustrating moments for any other player. Caustics has very powerful skills, and those skills though are often like disdained by other players, because when you're in this gas you just get like damaged over time, and you can die like pretty quickly, honestly. Plus your movements are very slow, which kind of goes against like what Apex Legends is. It's a game about movement, right? I honestly believe like there is no game with better movement than Apex Legends when you're looking at shooters. So I really don't want these two concepts to clash, So I needed to try to find like a way to, of course, like sell my design, but without creating like location would be frustrating for players to play within. Okay, so I try to work around that. It's probably going to be like a location where rely like intensively on set dressing to just deliver that feeling. Or now everything is just blue boxes. Okay, I didn't really have time to do that as well. So here are a couple of shots that I really like, honestly, just trying to provide like some context, right? So what you see over here is what Swamps currently is, and this is like my redesign. So as you can see, there's like a pretty big building on this section, the back part. This is where the building is going to be. Honestly, this part of the level is not played like at all. I think there are a couple of rings they close up like in this section, but there are really no other reasons to go over here. Perhaps if you are a solo and you're trying to hide, then yes, but otherwise there is nothing over there, right? This is how the level looks like if you are sitting on this tiny waterfall. You can see there's a pretty nice shot over here with these mountains, and there's a crack here like in between. I really like this crack over here. I think it's like a very powerful shot. Like the framing is very interesting. Nice trees, by the way. And so I was really inspired by that, right? I really want like players to just come like from this side and go like through this narrow path and just see this huge building like in front of them. And this is how everything looks like from the other end. Okay, so from the ceiling, see like this crack is pretty powerful. It's just right in front of you. And then of course it's not only about how things look from far away, but I want to get a bit like closer. I really like the idea of creating like something that will make players feel like the mystery that is like surrounding Caustic. We know something about him, right? But we don't know like enough. There's for sure like way more that can be said about this character, and just the pleasure of just discovering the secrets is something that designers at Respawn are very aware of, because they constantly try to add like vault and such, just trying to make like the game more interesting. But it's something that gets explored also in different games too, right? This screenshot here is from Battlefield 5, so we're looking at Firestorm right now, and this moment here is pretty amazing when you finally open like the bunker and you just spin like the wheels, right? So you do it like yourself. It's very powerful, very personal. When you finally get inside and just put your dirty answer on, and the reward is just like a great gameplay moment. And I think like Caustic totally worked for this kind of concept too. This one is probably my favorite skin, honestly, and it's pretty great like when it comes down to just paint like which kind of character we are talking about, right? And Swamps itself is already a location I think like speaks about Caustic like a lot, because of the colors, honestly. There's a lot of green everywhere, which is a theme that you'll find like everywhere in every design that speaks about like Caustic. Okay, so I think that was honestly the perfect location for Caustics, and I really felt like this location could provide like many interesting gameplay moments. Something we have seen like in other games too, you know. There's always a little bit like mystery and like something dangerous is about like to happen. That's also why I try to really use like a lot of pointy shapes like in my design, just trying to provide like this this sense of dangers that happens like everywhere. Even this gate here is almost like shaped like a mouth, it is ready to swallow you inside of this bunker basically. Okay, this one is like one of the main gimmicks that I want to implement like in this level. This one is nothing else than a teleporter. Okay, so let me show you like some more inspiration. There you go. We already have a teleporters basically implemented like in labs. This one though screams Wraith a lot, right? I didn't want that for Caustic. I wanted like something different. And so I was looking around trying to find like the perfect reference, and then I watched again one of the stories from the outlines. This one is about Watson, okay? And we know there's a pretty good relationship between Watson and Caustic, so why not relate like these two characters, having Watson making something for Caustic as well, okay? So we basically have like two portals though. We have like the first one that is built like within the building, and the second one is gonna be in labs, okay? Let's look specifically where the portal is gonna be. Basically, I was thinking about tearing down this wall and just create like another room on the side. Something could be connected with like the above floor as well. Perhaps just breaking down like this wall and create like a nice like kind of elevator shaft. Just perfect place where to put like a zip line. Didn't really want to do white box like the whole area. I think like this is more like than enough for you guys to understand like what I'm talking about. A couple different things that could be interesting to know about like these portals is that, well, first of all, they are not always active, so they will just trigger like every 20 seconds. And of course, when you are like inside of the room, if you are standing on the platform, you're gonna get teleported, and you get like some nice feedback, like, you know, flickering light and smoke and a little bit of camera shake that will tell you, hey, this is about to happen. Perhaps even a countdown like on this wall that could totally help. However, I think it's pretty unfair to just get teleported like in another room and die because somebody's just waiting for somebody to come in, you know? That's for sure like an option. I know the players will totally do that. I will do that, alright? Oh, big time. So I wanted to avoid that as much as I could. So what if this portal here has basically a different color depending if there are enemies or not inside of the other location? So if the portal is red, you know, like maybe I shouldn't go over there because there are probably enemies just looking around me, okay? While if the portal is green, that means there is nobody like within this building, or no traps and such, so it's pretty safe to go for it. I was thinking about having the colors in between too, like yellow, for example, could mean like, hey, there is nobody inside the room, but perhaps there is somebody somewhere else inside of the building. But that's something honestly needs to be like playtested and balanced like a little bit. Because yes, this could be like very dangerous to be implemented, so it needs to be thought like properly and you know, and just get like some gamers and see how this works. This location here is of course like connected like to the main room, which brings me to speak about like another interesting landmark you guys might find like inside of this level, which is basically this couple of rings which are, you know, overlapping. It's like quite big. What's going to happen? Well, these rings here are basically connected to an event that it will trigger like in this final room. Okay, so supposing that you completed like your events and now you're just leaving like the room, this ring is actually not going to be a ring since the beginning. It's going to be totally closed off, and then it will just open up in front of you. So imagine camera shake and then like some green gas just going like through the cracks and such, just making up for like an amazing moment. This ring here will open up, and this other one will open up too, revealing like a huge pipe basically. And you know, a bunch of particles that are kind of like they will show there's some sort of force that will just drag like whatever basically falls inside of the pipe, right? What's the point of this? Well, I really feel like the locations sometimes can be, outer locations sometimes can be disdained by players because there are not like many ways to just get out and actually reach like more central parts of the level, right? Which is where the real action many times happens. And so I wanted to basically provide like a couple different ways to connect like this location to the rest of the level. I already spoke about the first one that connects swamps with labs, and you know, it's a pretty nice shortcut. The second one though, I think is like even like more powerful because you're basically gonna respawn in like in this area. Let me provide you like a better reference of what we got over here. All right, this is what we currently have. This is nothing else than like a geyser. What if the pipe that I just showed you is actually connected to the geyser? So you jump inside of the pipe, and then the geyser will just spit you out like 100 feet up, and then you can basically land like whatever you want within like 800 meters, we can say. This should be enough even for players that are rotating late to just reach like locations, for example, like West Dam, or even like maybe like the cage. That would be great. It totally depends like on how many mountains you have like in between, right? That's something needs to be balanced, of course, but it would be a nice, very nice solution to just connect like these locations to more central ones. And so this is about it when it comes down to these parts over here. Now we'd like to speak a little bit about like the level itself, just like a couple of things, and then finally we're gonna conclude like this very short design talk, exploring what we have like behind this closed door. Okay, so alright, so I already spoke like about like the main entrance. There's a pretty big gate. You just go through the gates, and then you have like a couple of options. You can of course like go left or right. I believe like most players are gonna go left just because this is right on your face. You can of course like go right as well. You can climb like on these pillars, and then you just get yourself like on the platform, or you can use like the zip line. I love zip lines, right? I think they're a very nice addition to the game, and you can get yourself like on the other side too. But you can even be going like under the staircase. Okay, so how is this gonna work out? Well, we have a couple different rooms. So, like the first one is nothing else than a couple of bins on this side, and then some loot on the ground over here. This other one offers like a little bit more, like when I'm speaking about like quality in your loot. Not really about like quantity, still like a couple of bins and some loot like on the ground. Plus a little bit of geometry just to break like line of sight and not to make it like too difficult to just move in and out. You have a couple of entrances for this basement, but you do also can also use this zip line to just get out and reach this platform. Okay, so this platform is basically facing like the major landmark, and then it's connected to the exterior part as well. Okay, you can reach this section, of course, like taking the staircase over here. There's also like a nice zip line that connects one of the already existing buildings to like the roof. You can just drop down if you want to. And then let me actually speak about like the roof for a couple of seconds, right? Once you get like to the roof, you can of course like get inside of like the room with the teleporter. There's like a door over here. This one is just like a window, so there's a piece of glass. You can't really do much about that. Or you can of course like climb along on the roof, right? You got like a nice platform over here on these domes. Perfect spot for like a Pathfinder's beacon. These domes here are actually not, they're made of glass, right? So you can totally see inside, and they can give you a little bit of insight about what's awaiting for you. You can even see inside of the vault. So this one is kind of a tease, but those domes here are totally closed off, right? So there is no way for you to drop inside. And then let's look at the other side of this building. When we look at the other side, we do have like a platform that's basically connecting like the base level to the roof, basically. This one is a tiny nod like to Reverend, just trying to provide him with like a different option instead of just walking in front of the door, right? This for sure like way sneaker, totally fits like the character. Other characters can also of course like climb up here, but they have to do like a kind of the second jump, like when they reach like the edge, so it's a bit like more difficult for them. Then you can get like on this platform, of course, like coming from these buildings, but you can also climb on this pillar over here. Just I always like to provide like options, because I feel like players play games like in a different way, and for some players this is just way too exposed. While this option here, they're gonna have like interesting, there's gonna be like interesting rocks and such players can hide behind, and they can use this opening to just sneak inside of the building without being seen, basically. So there's nothing else to say about like the exteriors, so I will say now it's time to just dive into like the main room and look at what the room is. You most likely gonna enter like from this side, and the first thing you see like in front of yourself is basically this doorway, and with a couple of windows. The wall is obstructing like the view, so it's kind of teasing you a little bit, like, hey, there is something cool over here, you should come and check it out, Once you get inside, you will notice, of course, like, you know, the tables like on the left. These tables here will have like blue and purple loot, like 60% loot, sorry, 60% purple and like 40% like blue. Just don't want to reward like players too much just yet. Thing that I missed, you can't just, you know, walk in this room. There is, of course, like a gate that needs to be open, and you need a key for this gate. Where do you find the key? Well, it could be like somewhere, anywhere in swamps. Okay, so you basically have to look around, looking for like one of the dragons with the box, or for like one of those tiny nice like spider robots, and try to find like a key, and then you can open like the first door. The second door, this one over here, has a key that needs to be found too. However, the keys are not really looking like in any different way, so whatever key you find first is the key that is basically gonna open this door over here, right? I'm just trying to find like ways to not restrict like players like too much. I really would love to like one team to find like the first key, coming here, open like the first gate, and just thinking they're gonna be looting like the outside part and then probably leave. And the second team coming like immediately after, still thinking about opening like the first door, but realizing now they can open like the second door, and of course getting a fight with the teammates already here. Okay, that would be like pretty interesting. To find the second key honestly could be like anywhere around like swamps and the surrounding like towns. So we're looking at Hydro Dam, like labs, the rig, of course, like the former relay as well, and of course like inside of the building as well. Maybe, perhaps, if you're lucky, you never know. I was thinking about cool like concepts about that, and I was thinking that perhaps it could be like interesting if a team finds like the first key. Every Caustic like in the game is gonna hear a voice, right? Something saying like, you know, a key was found, right? With this nice deep voice. Something can create like a very interesting, you know, reason to just push like these players to move like towards swamps as well. And then finally, we are gonna be looking at this one. This one is like a stasis spot, basically. Let me show you like a reference picture. There you go. Something similar, but way more Caustic-like, you know. So it's gonna be like, you know, green and scary, and inside you're gonna see Caustic as well. So why that? Well, I wanted to make this one a bit like different, instead of just being like, you know, vault with loot inside. So yes, you're gonna find your gold armor. Yes, you're gonna find your gold backpack. But what else? Well, you can get the armor only if you're Caustic. So if you have a Caustic in your team, yes, you can grab the armor. Otherwise, you can basically interact with a panel that is built like behind like this pod, and basically you can, you know, push like a button, and it's gonna turn this person into Caustic, right? And now that you are Caustic, now you can grab like, you know, the Caustic armor. And then of course you can do like whatever you want to with the armor. You can just drop it like on the floor and give it like to somebody else. But I like the idea of just creating like a deeper connection between like teams and the location itself. Final thing about the location, as you can notice, yes, I do have like some pieces of cover, just try to not make it like too open, but I didn't really want this location to be a very claustrophobic kind of environment. It's more like an environment you just get in, do like whatever you have to do, and you know, there's a very different like atmosphere, can totally, you know, push players to just play like in a different way. But I didn't want to change like the meta. I think like the level, the whole map like in Scania currently works like pretty well, and I still want like players to just, you know, play every other town and play in swamps as well, right? So this one, yes, it looks like a big building, but at the end of the day, many of the sections are actually not accessible. And what is currently accessible doesn't really provide like many opportunities for players just, you know, stay inside of the building and fight over and over and over and over. Plus there are a couple different ways to just get out like pretty quickly, right? So I don't think this should be like a problem. But of course, as I say, this one is first pass, right? I made like this level like over the weekend, and for sure like it needs like a lot of love and additional design to be like in a location that finally deserves to be inside of Apex Legends. So this was everything for me. I thank you guys for just watching the whole thing, hopefully, and I'll see you in the next one.